Hello guys, welcome back for another video, and in this one I'll be showing you how to use Llamafile for running any local LLM with a single file and without having to install anything and any kind of dependency. So by the end of this video you'll be able to use something like this. So this is an instance of Llamafile that just ran, and it's based on Llama 3.2 3b instruct 1, and this instance both load a chat version of Llamafile plus a server that I will be showing you all we can use later on in this video. So for example, I can just go and ask something like what is the difference between ML and DL, for example. So as you can see, this is running on CPU, so the speed is not like the best, but the token rate speed is quite decent for CPU. So yeah, that's quite nice. It's giving us like a simple definition of machine learning and deep learning and what is the difference between those two. So yeah, for machine learning, it gave like a pretty much like a good explanation. Let's go back to deep learning, and now what we can do, I will just like cut the chat, and now I'll be showing you like we can basically use this to make it work and what we can use for it. Okay, so let's free the model. That's nice. And today what we're gonna use for this is, as I mentioned, is Llamafile. So you need to go to this GitHub, the Llamafile. It's basically made by Mozilla, and the idea is to be able to distribute and run any kind of LLM with just a single file. So they propose a new extension called Llamafile, and it's based on Llama CPP. So all models that you'll be using are based on Llama CPP and will be using the GGUF extension. And Llama CPP is basically an inference framework for running LLM with C and C++. Okay, so now we are on Llamafile, the GitHub, and they basically explain how to use their file. And for Linux and Mac OS, it's kind of easy. So you just need to download the Llamafile that they provide. So those are some examples of Llamafile. You just download, and then you can run like this. Before running like this, you need to change the permission of the file, and then you are basically ready to go. So you download this, you open a terminal, you grant the right permission, and then you launch this, and you will be able to see what I just did show you at the beginning, the terminal with the interface with the charts. And then you can basically chat, and as I mentioned, this will open both a chat and will also create an instance of a server that will be available at this IP address. Okay, and which is very nice is that this provide like a local API that is aligned with OpenAI API. So if you want to do tests locally, if you don't want to spend token on with the OpenAI API, you can just run this instance, and it will be basically compatible with your app if you were using OpenAI API. Okay, that's pretty much what they say here. So let's first use Llamafile as it is. And for, as I mentioned, for Linux and macOS, there is no issue. You can use any kind of Llamafile, any size. But for Windows user, there is a restriction of like the limit of the file, since executable cannot like reach more than 4 gigabytes in Windows. So in Windows we cannot use like Llamafile just like this if they are more than 4 gigabyte. And most of LLMs, if you want to use like decent ones, 7B, 12B, and more, they will exceed this limit. And if you want to use like vision LLMs, also they will most likely exceed this limit. So there is a workaround as by using the extension, the executable, plus directly downloading the weight of the actual model. And those weights can be downloaded from Hugging Face, for example, and I'll be showing you how to do this. So we need both the executable that we can find in the release here, and we need a model from Hugging Face, for example, some model that I will be showing you here, but those are Llamafile. This is the Llamafile that I just downloaded, and it's here. Okay, so what you basically need to do is you need to download some example here. So this is basically the list that was provided here. Those are Llamafile that you can download. For in my case, I did install this one, Llama 3.2 3B instruct. So you can basically click on this and the download will start. Or you can go to the repo and download like a smaller version with different version of quantization. Okay. So that's it for the basically all to install and download. So you just click here, click for downloading the file. It will basically take like up to 2 minutes depending of your connection. If you have a good one, it will take like 30 seconds. So you are lucky one if it takes 30 seconds. And then what you do is you will see that your file, once you download it, it's not like this. So it will be like this. Yeah. And the only thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you add the .exe if you are on Windows. If you are not on Windows and you're on Linux or Mac OS, just open a terminal and give the grant permission to the file, and then you are basically ready to go to use it. So now what we do is change the extension, and as I mentioned, just double click, and a server will be launched, and will have like the interface that I just showed you guys earlier. Okay, and we can chat with it, and basically ask everything that we want. But that's not the point. I can now show you the server that I mentioned earlier. Once you click on it, it will both launch the chat and the server. So you can go here. It will open up a new window. If does not, yeah. And this is basically a server with everything that the model and the hyperparameters that the model is using will be displayed on this window. You will also have like the structure of the prompt template, so have the structure of the chat history template. One cool thing about Llamafile is from the chat template it uses the history. So if you ask something, for example, like you ask like, can you like talk about like LaTeX, for example, and will give us like something about LaTeX. And if you want to tell like to get to like provide more detail on something, in case I was mentioning like more the LaTeX code, but yeah, it went for the actual it went for the actual as like close. Yeah. So yeah, now it's a good thing to like to just maybe provide more instruction and let's say give you more about like LaTeX code maybe. So yeah, it's kind of like giving us like some kind of it's quite nice. So maybe it will give us like some hint about like LaTeX code. Yeah, it definitely has like several benefits. Okay, so we'll let this finish. Okay, nice one. Yeah, actually I do. Yeah, more. I was mentioning code writing. Yeah, there was. So as you can see, it did use the previous request and the context that was outputted by the model previously to respond to the question. Okay, so that's quite a nice feature to directly have within the chat. As you can see, it's now giving us like a quite a good answer with a structured markdown response. Okay, so let's just like kill this since we are now okay with it. Yeah, so we can just kill it and we will come back later. And we can I could do like a one video about just this, but you can play with all the EPA parameters that are present here, and basically also you can try like all the sliders to see what are the effect and on the LLM, and the most like used one is temperatures and penalize, which basically you don't want your model to like repeat itself, and with temperature, if it's close to 1 it will be more creative, it's close to 0 it will be more deterministic. Okay, so now what we can do, I just show you like showed you how to use Llamafile. Now I'll be showing you how to use the executable if you want to use model that exceed the limit that we have in Windows. So to do this, what we need, as I mentioned, we need to first install the executable. So let's install maybe this one. Yeah, so you will see something like this, and what you need to do is to install this, and then you need, like as I mentioned earlier, and as I did for the previous model, just need to add like .exe, and we will be ready to go. Okay, so now it should have finished. Yeah, great. So now just use .exe. Yeah. Yes. So that's perfect. Now we will be able to use any kind of GGUF model that we want from Hugging Face. So let's say, so I would just download like a small model, but this can be this can work with any kind of model. So typically what you want to do is you want to go to models, here from face, and for example, we can type gguf. And from those models, for example, most of the time, what you want to do is you want to go to File and Version, and you want to directly install, download the file that have like the gguf extension, and this will be your model. All case, this one is very big, it's like a very big model, so we'll not be using this one. We're using another one. So let's go to models, and for the example, as I mentioned, I'll be using like a small model, maybe something cool between 1 and 3B, or even smaller, just to show like the actual way of using the gguf weights. Okay. So I did use the slider for having model that are quite small. I also added the gguf. I also just one gguf file, and also added this for model that for LM that will be able to generate text. Okay. We can also just go for the most liked. Maybe we'll have like something decent. And what we can do is, for example, we can like search through all of those. Let's try to, yeah, this one is quite good. It's also very small, so we'll most likely use this one, but all of those models you can use. This Gemma one, the DeepSeek also, with reasoning you can use, but for our example we just use this one. Okay, so we go there, and then go, as I mentioned, go to File and Versions, and we can also, most of the time there is like multiple versions of the gguf, and those versions are basically different version of quantization of the model. And if you do not have like that much space, you can use the very quantized model. But in our case, we'll be using the model with the largest precision. Okay, so just click on it, and this will start the download. And now I'll be showing you how to use it with different, there is like 3 way of using it. There is the chat, there is the server, and there is also the CLI for just like basically just running one prompt with the model. Okay. So now I should probably finish soon. So we should be good in a few seconds now. So let's just open a new prompt, maybe. Okay. Yeah, great. Let's open a new terminal. Yeah. Okay, and let's have it like this. Okay, so what we can do is we can basically use the Llamafile like this. And first, it's always great to see the help and the documentation right it. So that's the help. And as I mentioned, there is like 3 ways of using the models. There's the chat, there's the server, and there's the CLI. And the way of using it is always the same. So you have like those 3 options, then you have the flags that are basically here. There's like a lot of flags, and that are basically the parameters and hyperparameters that we saw in the server UI. basically all the parameters that you can specify. You can also specify, as I mentioned earlier, you can, by default, most of the time it will run directly on CPU. But if you want to run your model in GPU, you can just like give the number of layers that you want to put on your GPU, or directly specify GPU, and it will enable GPU. Okay, and there is a lot of other parameters, like for example, you can have like number of like the negative prompts, scaling. Yeah, there's like the temperatures, load jets, recompile. Yeah, there's a lot of like parameters that even I do not know. I need to check, but yeah, if you wanna, it's definitely a good way to start by like just playing with all of this and trying to understand like the role of each of those parameters directly locally, because you can like play to your hard content and basically observe what each parameters actually do for the model. Okay, so now that we made use of this, we can just go back and now try to use the new model that we just downloaded. Okay, so what we'll do is Llamafile, and as I mentioned, there's like this there's three way of working with it. So there's so let's just like go back. There is the chat, the server, and the CLI. So I will first show you like the chat, which is the one that we just saw at the beginning. So we go for chats, then we go for M followed by the model. And in our case, it is Quinn 2. Yeah. And it will be launching, and then now we can basically talk with the model. We can say hi, and we will probably say hi. Yeah. And as you can see, it's way faster than the previous one, because this model is way smaller. And we can basically ask the same question. Can you tell me more about LaTeX code? Correct one, this one. Yeah, so it's great, and the speed is actually quite decent. There's also formatting, which is quite nice, as you can see. And it's giving quite quite a good summary of LaTeX. Quite nice. Okay, so now we saw like the chat version. What we can do is basically do the same, but with the CLI. And to do the same with the CLI, what we'll be doing is the same, but we'll just first just like free the model. And the idea is to, for using the CLI, what we need to do is type CLI, and we need to add a prompt here. And the prompt will be basically like any kind of request that you want, and I will be using the same request. So can you tell me more about, let's change the request and Markdown this time. You know that I love Markdown. So yeah, it just like giving us like requests that we want in the form of just one participant. Okay. And the last one is the actual server. So we can launch an instance of this as a server that we can then request. So this is basically like this. It will launch a server. So now we are able to listen to this. Okay. And like I mentioned earlier, this is the interface for changing API parameters inside the actual server. Okay. And since this is the local host with the port 8080, you can basically use this as an API locally that is aligned with the OpenAI API. And I will be just showing you now how to use this with a Python code. So let's say you have like your application and you are basically using OpenAI, okay? And first you wanna like test your code, but you don't wanna spend money on tokens, and you just wanna like run the same app with the same way you're calling the model. So this is a good alternative. Just need to launch the server, and this server is compatible with the OpenAI API. And to show you this, what I'll be doing now is just like showing you how to use it with Python code. So I already have like an environment with OpenAI. Just need to type like pipe install OpenAI. Request comes by default to any kind of Python environment. And now we'll be requesting this server that we just launched with the Quinn model. And this will be directly linked to the actual localhost port 8080. Okay. In this code that I'll be sharing in the description of this video, there is two ways of like connecting to the API. There is the way with the OpenAI script, which is here. We are using the client from OpenAI, and there is like the way from request, which is basically directly requesting the API for a post method. Okay. So let's test both of them, and we'll see that the server will respond, and it will basically give us like some JSON here that will be directly linked to the request that we make. And in our case, I made like 4 requests, and there is like an implementation of the streaming and the non-streaming version of the response. So in the streaming version, you will see like the string being like rendered one by one, and in the non-streaming, just have like the delay and have the full answer in the terminal. Okay. So for each, there is non-streaming, streaming, and both for OpenAI and request. And this code will be shared, obviously. So as I mentioned earlier, if you are using this inside your code, so you are developing an application, you are using like, you want to develop like a local RAG with your papers, or you want to test something with the OpenAI API, and you don't want to like first use the OpenAI, you just want to test, you want to just like provide like a poke. This is a great way, because you can use everything locally, and then you can switch without changing your code very easily. Okay, so let's call now the actual model with the code. So let's see what we get. Okay, so we did get a respond. Okay, nice. So that's quite nice. As you can see, there's like the streaming option. And my prompt was the first one was explain what is Llamafile in one sentence. Second one was write a short story about a robot, 3 sentences. And the last one was like write about Magdalena like it. Okay, and as you mentioned, as I mentioned, you should have like when the different request was sent, you should have like some JSON bings added inside the terminal prompt. Okay, so maybe let's recheck because the view was kind of like a mess. So yeah, let's just like relaunch everything now, and maybe let's change like just for purpose of it. Let's change and like in Python this one. Okay, so let's run everything again, and now what we can do is we can see that this is working properly, and you can see that this will be changing also. Okay, as you saw, this was updated. So that's quite nice. And if, for example, we kill the server, deep Python code will not be working anymore. So if, for example, we stop the server, now if we actually use the same code, this will not be working because there is no server, and the API would just say that there's like an error of connection and there is no actual thing to call. Yeah, so as you can see, there is like connection error, and for the request and the OpenAI library, it will be the same. We will have an issue with it. Okay, same. We both have like a issue with it. So I showed you like the 3 ways. I hope this was kind of useful. And this is very easy to use, and it allows like different kind of like process and use cases. You can use this locally for a project and for just testing and like making sure that you understand and try to see what kind of LLM works the best for you. So guys, I will be like seeing you in the next video. I hope everything was fine, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye bye.